Hello, everyone. My name is Ole Kagan, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with LA County Library. And I welcome you. I'm so happy that you're here joining us for Microsoft Excel for Beginners. Before we get going with today's event, I'm going to take care of some housekeeping, do the land acknowledgement, and tell you what we have coming up for our Microsoft Office workshops. So, if you can hear me and see the slide up on the screen, then you are good to go. However, if you're having trouble hearing me or seeing the slide, do let me know in the chat and I will do my best to assist. If you'd like to listen to this presentation on the phone, you can do that by calling 1-669-900-6833 and use the access code 822 5662 1884 and the passcode 123123. Additionally, automated closed captioning is available on Zoom in case you'd like to read along with the presentation. To enable that, you would press the CC button in your Zoom window. Now, you may have noticed that the mics and video for attendees of the program have been disabled. That's so that everyone can focus on our presentation today. We do, however, welcome your questions and comments. Questions can go in the Q&A box. That's the one with the single speech bubble. And comments can go in the chat. That's the one with the two speech bubbles. I'd like to also note that this class is being recorded. So don't worry if you can't take notes or follow along. You will receive a copy of the YouTube link in a follow-up email. I noticed in the chat there's a couple of people that are having a little bit of issues with the sound. If you all are out there, can you let me know if my sound is coming through properly? I just want to make sure that my mic is at the appropriate volume and you are able to hear me. Okay, so it is coming through right. So if you are having trouble with the sound, sometimes Zoom has some audio issues. If that's the case for you, then the best thing to do would be to exit the session and then come right back in. 9 out of 10 times, maybe 9.5 out of 10 times, that fixes whatever issue you are having with the sound. Yeah, I see most people are letting me know that they are able to hear me. I'm so glad. All right. And sound being okay, let us go ahead and move on to our land acknowledgement. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano, Quiche, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments, including, in no particular order, the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Tongva Indians of California Tribal Council, Gabrielino Tongva San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Quiche Nation, the Yuhavitam of San Manuel Nation, San Fernando Band of Mission Indians, Coastal Band of Chumash Nation, Gabrielino Tongva Nation, and Gabrielino Tongva Tribe. To learn more about the First Peoples of Los Angeles County, please visit the Los Angeles City County Native American Indian Commission website at lanic.lacounty.gov. All right, and let's go ahead and talk about what we have coming up for Microsoft Office workshops next. And then we'll get to Microsoft Excel for beginners. So, what we have coming up next in a couple of weeks is advanced topics in Microsoft Excel. Thus far, we've been doing beginner and intermediate courses, and we have now moved on to offer a few advanced topics in Microsoft Word, Excel, and in the future, PowerPoint. And on Tuesday, February 24th at 11 a.m., we're going to give you a chance to take your spreadsheet skills to the next level. Follow along as we delve into useful functions on our way to creating an attractive and information-rich dashboard. If you're a complete beginner today, this class might be advanced, but I would say still come and coast on the wave of learning. I'm not an advanced Excel user, but I will be delivering this class and learning along with you. There's a potential the class will be chaotic, but I think everyone, including me, will learn and potentially be entertained. So that class is, of course, absolutely free, just like all of our LA County Library events. And if you're interested in learning more about the events that we offer, you can go to lacountylibrary.org. Right in the middle of the screen, there's an events button. If you click that, it gives you all of the events that we have, both in person and virtual for all ages, kids, teens, adults, and older adults. And if you're just interested in virtual programs like this one, then that's also an option to filter by virtual events by clicking that events button on top and just clicking virtual events. That'll give you all of our Zoom events for all ages and, of course, absolutely free. And now I think it's time for us to begin our Excel course. I'm going to stop sharing this window here and let's get going with Microsoft Excel. So, first of all, let's talk about what is a spreadsheet. I'm going to turn off my video and share my screen, and we will get going with Excel. I'm going to tell you what a spreadsheet is, and better than that, I will show you what a spreadsheet is and how to use it. So, at its core, a spreadsheet is a table, a grid of cells. Each of these is a cell divided into columns, A, B, C, D, and so forth, and so on, and rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth, and so on. A spreadsheet builds on the functionality of a simple table with its columns and rows by allowing users to further organize, sort, manipulate, and display information to meet their needs. There are many purposes of a spreadsheet. Some categories that they break down into would be organization. Spreadsheets excel, pun intended, with information that lends itself to tabular presentation, such as bookkeeping, tracking household spending, keeping an inventory log. Really, anytime you need a lot of consistent information types to be in order, Excel is your friend. You can also plan with Microsoft Excel or spreadsheets in general, regardless of the program that you use. Spreadsheets allow users to set up to-do lists, which we're going to be demonstrating today, various types of progress charts, and visual dashboards to keep you on top of whatever you're doing. One example I've seen, and I've done a little bit of this myself, is to use a spreadsheet to keep a workout log. Now, me, I go running occasionally, and I like to track my runs. So I will write down the date that I went on a run, how far I run, and I have another column that measures how fast that breaks it down, my run down into the minutes per mile. So for me, I just really like to see that progress. Excel lets me track that whether I'm improving or not. Speaking of track, For spreadsheets are also used for tracking and calculation. Formulas create relationships between multiple cells to do simple tasks like adding or subtracting, which we'll demonstrate today, to more complex tasks such as matching data or summarizing huge amounts of data. So as you can see here, just on the screen, there are 37 rows and a bunch of columns, but you can have thousands, tens of thousands of rows and columns in Microsoft Excel. You can have really, really large data sets in this piece of software. But it doesn't have to be huge. For example, a teacher could also use Excel for their gradebook. It'll do all the adding and averaging for them and allow them to, not have to do all that arithmetic by hand. Finally, I think combining everything that I've talked about so far, Excel is ideal to help you with decision making. All of the above, it serves as an aid to make personal and professional decisions. For instance, what to do next. And in that vein, the first thing that I'm going to demonstrate with Excel is to show you how to make a to-do list. Now, as I mentioned before, a cell is a fundamental unit of a spreadsheet. It's usually a rectangular box that holds information. That information could be a word, a number, a picture, or even just a color. Each cell is named after its column and row coordinates. So that means the top left cell is A1. The next one is B1. The one over for that, the one down below is B2, and so on and so forth. So if I click, for instance, on this one here, this is J15. The most basic thing that we can do in Excel is to input information into a cell. And we do that by clicking on it. So here I clicked on D4 and inputting text. Hello. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see, but you can also zoom in on your Zoom window by clicking the little plus on the bottom left-hand side. I believe it's on the bottom left-hand side. So if you're having trouble seeing my screen, you can always also zoom in there. So you can type by just clicking on the cell and typing, or you can double click on any cell. So I'm going to double click on E4. And when I double clicked, the cursor comes up and I can type again. How are you? I can also type in the formula bar, which is right up here. It's the same thing. Press enter, and the text appears in the cell. Now, we're going to start creating our to-do list now by creating our header row. The header row, spreadsheets don't need to have a header row, but they usually do to help us humans know what's there. So I'm going to highlight this first and press delete, get rid of these. And we're going to do our header row. So we're going to type into the first row, row 1, we're going to type in task. We're going to move over, type in status. And we're going to move over one more time, type in due date. Just a very basic to-do list. Now, in order for our to-do list to be easier to read and more stylish, maybe, we can edit how the text looks. We do that by selecting the cells we want to spruce up and clicking up in the font area. So this is the font area here. It says font. Here we can determine the format of our font, or like the style and decoration of our font. This entire area up here where all these buttons are is called a ribbon. And then up here we have tabs. Right now we're at the Home tab. We can go to the Insert tab, the Draw tab, Page Layout, and all of these have a variety of options. If you're new to Excel and Microsoft Office in general, I can only imagine this looks incredibly overwhelming. Don't worry. This is just a beginner class, and I will slowly and patiently take you through what we need for today. What we're doing now is we're going to change the way this font looks. And the way we do that is by highlighting it. So I drag my mouse over all of it. You see it's selected. And we're going to go to the font area, which is right up here. And we're going to make it bold. So this little B means bold. And as you can see, our header row is a little bit easier to read now. And it works the same way if you want to make it italicized, underlined. I don't recommend having more than one type of text decoration because it makes your spreadsheet look busy and makes it a little bit more difficult to read. So let's keep it bold for now. Now, if we want to change the font size, we can do that as well. I'm going to make it 13. So I'm going to click the little font area here and 13. There we go. So that's our spreadsheet. So now we want to maybe enter some information into our to-do list. So let's say our tasks will be buy carrots. We need them for soup. We're going to do laundry. It's building up. We're going to take Excel class. That's this one. We're doing it now. All right, maybe like one more. Let's do read chapter 3 of Governing the Commons. That's the book that I'm reading. I'm past chapter 3, but I'm going to review it because chapter 3 is really good. All right, so we've got 4 items in our to-do list. We're going to add some due dates. So let's say buy carrots. We got to do that today. Today is 2/10/26. Do laundry. We can do that tomorrow or the day after. Let's say 2/13/26. As you can see, when I typed in 26, it automatically formatted my date for me. And we'll talk about the date type, number type in a bit. We're doing the Excel class right now, so I can literally do that 2/10. That's also today. We're going to be finishing that in a couple of hours. Not a couple of hours, like an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And then read chapter 3 of Governing the Commons. We can do that by the end of the week. And that would be, let's say, the 14th, Valentine's Day. We're going to have a romantic day by reading. All right, so we've entered our due dates. Notice how some of the task entries are longer than the columns. So you can see the read chapter 3 of Governing the Commons is going underneath the date here. Excel automatically lets the text appear either over or right under the columns. Or if you select the column, it disappears. If you select another one, it disappears. So what we want to do is we want to either make the column a little bit bigger. And we can do that by going between A and B here. You see the little arrow that pops up with the 2 arrows facing each side. I'm going to click. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. We don't want it too big, though. What we can do if we don't want to make it bigger than that is we can select this range of data and we can go over to the alignment area of our ribbon and we can do wrap text. And when we wrap text, it's exactly what it sounds like. When the text is too big for the column, it'll shoot over to the next line and expand the size of the cell. So yes.
Oh, like real fast,
Mhm.
can you show how to do the date again?
Oh, of course. I just typed in the date. So all I did in this situation was I just typed in 2/10/26 and Excel automatically recognized this as a date and it just automatically formatted it this way. We can also format it different ways and I'll show you how to do that later on in the class. That's it's on our docket for today. So we'll talk more about dates. Okay, so we just did word wrapping here and now columns and rows can be edited in various ways. The simplest way is to change its size, and we just did that a little bit here. We can do it a little bit more in case we need to input some larger stuff there. Make our date size a little bit, line a little bit bigger, our status a little bit bigger too. Just, we want to have a little bit of space here. Let's also make these dates align to the left side of the cell. We can do that over here in alignment and make it click align left. You see that's moved over. Looks a little neater for me. Okay. Now, rows and columns can also be moved. So it kind of makes sense to me to move the status column over past the date. And the way to move the column is to select the entire thing. So you see when I move my mouse over here to the top where it says the letter, I get a little down arrow. I click on that and it selects the entire column. Now I'm going to move over right on this line between the spreadsheet and the stat or the name of the column here, and we're getting a little arrow, like a little icon that shows arrows in all directions. I click on that and I hold and I drag my column over, and you can see there's a green outline that shows where I want to put it. I want to put it on the other side of date, so I'm going to move it right over here. Oh, never mind. It wants to replace it. That's not what I want to do. I want to move it a little bit more over. There we go. So I've moved it over. Now I'm going to move these two. You can move multiple columns at once. I'm going to move both of these back over here. And voila. Oh, it seems like there's a problem. All these hash marks. Why? The reason is because the dates are longer than the column. So we're going to just make it a little bit bigger and they're going to appear again. There we go. Like magic, our dates are back. Okay. So now how are we going to know if our task is done? We can either manually write done here, or there's a more elegant way, and that is to insert checkboxes. So we're going to go to insert, and right in the middle under controls, we're going to hit checkbox, and a checkbox appears. Now you'll notice that when I toggle the checkbox, in the formula bar up here, it says true or false. That's because a checkbox is just a formula that's built into Excel for ease of use. We'll learn about how to use simple formulas later on today. But do we really want to click the checkbox over and over for our entire spreadsheet? We do not. Instead, there's an easier way to input checkboxes or anything else into a lot of space. And we can do that by highlighting where we want to put the checkboxes. So in this situation, just in these three cells. And we're going to click checkbox and it'll appear in all of them. Now, let's say we want to insert a to-do item between do laundry and take an Excel class. We can insert a row or a column anywhere in our spreadsheet by right-clicking where our column is, going to insert, and that'll insert a new column. Now note that it always inserts a new column above, or sorry, a new row above the previous one. And new rows are inserted over to the left side of our previous one. So we inserted our new row. We're going to add another to-do list, or a new item, research, cats. We like cats. There's no real due date on that, but I'm just going to put in a couple of weeks. The 24th, 224, 224. It defaulted to 2026 if I just entered 224. I can also put February 24 and press enter, and it display the date like this. We can change the format of the dates. Now, as we move forward with our to-do list, another consideration is, will we have to insert a new checkbox when we input all of our new tasks? Generally, the answer is yes, though we do have two other options. The first is to use autofill. Excel has a feature where if you select or highlight a range of cells and drag to unfilled cells, it'll predict what comes next. Let me demonstrate. So if I type, let's say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, F4 into this range of cells, F7 through F10. If I highlight all of these, and you see this little box that appeared right on the bottom here, right here. I move my mouse over to that one, I click, and I drag down. The green box expands, and I let go, and Excel knew. It was saying, oh, it looks like you're counting by one. And then it said, probably what comes next is 5, 6, 7, 8. It can also do a similar thing if you do just even numbers. You really only need three, and it'll try to recognize what you're doing. You can see it added up by intervals of two. It'll also do the same thing with dates. So if you want to put, for instance, every 2 weeks, you can also have it do every 2 weeks to 10, 26 to 24, 26. Let me see if it works with just two. It might actually work with just two. Yep. And it'll give you every 2 weeks. So that's autofill. And you can do autofill with checkboxes as well. So I can highlight a couple of checkboxes and then press the little square down here, drag it out, and here we got a bunch of checkboxes. There's also another more elegant way to add checkboxes, which I'll show you in a bit through tables. Okay, so you may have noticed that I have all of these dates. They all kind of look the same. But what if we wanted our dates to display a little differently? If we go to our home button and in the middle here, our number area, uh, we want to pay attention to what is in this drop down. Number formats are important to know about because Excel behaves differently depending on what it thinks is in a cell. It might automatically display information in a specific way or be unable to sort mismatched warrants properly. So in this situation, all of our dates look the same. So we don't need to make any changes. But what if we want to make our date just look different? Let's say we want to make it look like a long date. So right now it's displayed as a short date. Let's say we want to make it longer because we want the day to be in there as well. So we clicked long date. Now we need to expand this. And here, you see it automatically converted it to long date. We can also make custom dates. If we go to more number format, this is getting slightly past beginner, but it's okay. It's good that you know that it exists. So there are other options for displaying dates. I really like the year, month, day format. So I'm going to select that under type and hit OK. And now my date formats have been changed. It doesn't really make sense to have all of our dates be out of order here. One convenient feature of spreadsheets is that you can get it to sort ranges for you. Of course, a range is a bunch of contiguous cells together. So if we want to sort our to-do list by due date, it's really easy to do. Select the column by moving up to the letter of the column and clicking there. Then we can go over to our ribbon in our editing area and select sort and filter, which is all the way on the right side here, and go to oldest to newest. Ah, a sort warning. Excel will then ask you a question because the people that programmed it are smart. They understand that table columns and rows are usually, but not always, related to each other. So while we've only selected one column to sort, the due date, it always asks whether you want to expand the selection. So it keeps the rows together when it sorts the whole table. So the answer is almost always yes, expand the selection, because we want our tasks to stay with our due dates. If we hit continue with the current selection, then it'll only sort the dates and leave the task column as is. So let's go ahead and expand the selection and click sort. And our table has been sorted. So now we know that buy carrots and take Excel class are our first due dates, and research cats is our final task. Our due dates are in order, and hopefully, as is our lives. Now, one interesting thing to note too is how Excel ignored the header row, our bold header row, when it sorted the table, because it realizes that a header row is in a different format. In this situation, text. And the rest of column B here is a date. And so it makes the correct assumption that we don't need to sort this row. Thus far, we've been referring to a set of combined rows and columns, all of this as a spreadsheet. And we've referred to this as a table. But Excel also has a very useful formal way it treats contiguous rows and columns that is also called a table. While Excel does recognize relationships between cells and columns normally, designating a specific range as a table makes it distinct and gives it special powers. For instance, sorting becomes a lot easier. Additionally, it will maintain number formats and repeating elements like our famed checkboxes when you add new rows. In order to designate a specific area as a table, you have two options. If it's a small table like this, you can just select the entire part here and go to Insert Table. And it'll ask you, is this the area that you want? So this is A1 through C6. This is A1 through C6. And say, it'll ask you, my table has headers. Yes, my table does have headers. And you hit OK. And that'll create a table for you. But I want to show you another way, because Excel is also, like I said, very smart. So if you have a giant table, like it takes up your entire screen, it's 10,000 rows and columns, you can actually click anywhere in the range of the table and you can insert table. You can press Control T on your keyboard. That's what I usually do if I'm going fast. Or you can click up into the Insert tab and select Table. And Excel will automatically recognize your table. And I've got to say, at first I was skeptical, so I would always check, especially on my bigger tables. And you can check still. I think it's a good idea, but it's so good. It almost always recognizes exactly where my tables start and ends. So here it did a good job here, A1 through C6. My table has columns, or has headers, I should say. And I'm going to hit OK. And as you can see, some changes took place. A few main things changed. Number one, the header row became bold. Mine, it was already bold before, but it became even more prominent. The colors of the rows changed to banded. That means that it goes from one color to another for easier reading, especially if you have a very long table. It makes it much easier to read if the columns are banded or the rows are banded. Finally, each cell in the header row gets a little drop-down caret. These right here, I call them carets, for easier sorting. So if I wanted to sort the dates, I can click over here. I can filter the dates if I want. If I only want to know what's in, if I had other months, I can remove February. I can add other months. I can also sort by oldest to newest, which what we did before. So before it was oldest to newest. I'm going to sort newest to oldest, and it changed again. If I want to change it back, no problem. Oldest to newest, very easy when you have these little carets here. You can also sort by things that are done and not done. So if I just want things that are not done, then I remove true, just leave false. And as you can see, I still have these things to do. I want to bring back things that we've done. We can click right here on true, hit OK, and there they are once again. Now, if we wanted to add a new task somewhere within the table, we can actually add it. We can put any column, type text into any column. So let's say we want to type a text into when we know the due date of our tasks, it's going to be, let's say, March 7th or March 8th. March 8th is International Women's Day. And buy flowers for my wife. And that's going to be on March 8th. And as you can see, it automatically made this task as part of the table. And lo and behold, it added a checkbox for me. I really like that. And if I do it here, it won't task. It won't add it to the table. But if I do it here, buy dog food, again, it added the checkbox and I can add a date here as well. If I want to delete a row, I can right click here and delete row. I can also insert rows anywhere here as I showed before. If I right click here, hit insert, it'll add a row on top and also a checkbox. Okay, now there you have it. That's a nice little to-do list for you. Next, we're going to move on to creating a ledger that will track our household spending. But
Oleg,
before, yes.
before you move on real fast, can you
Mhm.
just show how to get the check boxes again real fast?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay,
I would love to
great.
show you that because checkboxes are one of my favorite parts of Excel, and I definitely want all the folks to know how to toggle them on and off. So to get checkboxes, you go to Insert, which is all the way on the left-hand, top left-hand side. You go to the Insert tab, and if we want to toggle them, there's right in the middle here is Controls, it's checkbox. I can remove them. If I delete, I get rid of all of them, and I select this range here, and I can click checkbox, and they all appear. And of course, if you miss anything that I've done so far, this entire program is going to be on YouTube. I'm going to put it up on YouTube probably either later today or tomorrow, and I'll send you an email with the video link. So you'll be able to rewatch this entire program and follow along and get all your questions answered, at least in as far as what I've done so far. Uh, okay, let me ask you, is everybody with me so far? Are we ready to move on to household, how to track your household spending? All right, oh, somebody put a checkbox. There we go. Person after my own heart. I like the checkbox. I'm not a huge to-do list person. I like to-do lists, but I like the checkboxes. Oh, somebody asked, and can you show us how to print it too? Oh yeah, for sure. Let me just do that right now. So if we want to print anything in Excel, you go to File, you go to Print, and there is something this small will just appear on the table, will appear on the page. But if you have a really big table, you're going to have to figure out how you want to print it. You can scale to fit sheet onto one page. If it's a giant table, it's going to be tiny, tiny, tiny. So I recommend doing fit all columns on one page or fit all rows on one page. It depends on how big your table is. Somebody mentions in the chat that they can't see the checkbox in the ribbon area. It may have to do with the version of Excel that you're using. Not all versions of Excel may have the checkboxes, but you can probably create something like that by, I think if we insert there might be a symbol, a checkbox symbol. So if we go to insert and all the way on the left, symbol, and I believe there is a checkbox. So let's see if this works. And I put that in there. So I just hit insert and let's see if this actually gives you this has the functionality of a checkbox. You can see it, but this doesn't actually have the functionality. It just looks, if you print it, you can use it that way. Otherwise, another way to just, instead of having checkbox, if your version of Excel doesn't have it, you can always just do status, D for done and, you know, blank if it's not done and like IP for in progress. And you can sort it in the same way. You can sort it by this. Some people also do like priority as far as, and they sort by priority when they do their to-do lists. I see many people put that they are with me, and I'm so pleased. I'm gonna look at the Q&A very quickly to see if there's anything that I can answer. Oh, I see. Somebody asked, how did you make it black and white? That they're referring to my table here. So when I created a table, uh, it automatically made black and white. So I selected my range and I pressed Control T or did insert table, and it automatically made it black and white. If you want to change the design of your table, that's also possible. You go up at the very top and all the way on the right side of your tabs, there's a tab called Table Design. It's green. You click on it and you can see there's various options for table designs or table styles, as it were. You can open that up. And as you can see, we can make our table look all kinds of funky ways. And you can make your own table style too. I like to keep it simple. I like the banded rows, but I really sometimes some of these colors are a bit overwhelming, especially when you have a very big table. So I like to keep it light, gray or like something like that. Maybe like that. Orange, green is nice. Like that. So somebody asked, what is the advantage of inserting a table? It allows you to sort easier. You can refer to this table in formulas. It's much easier to refer to this set of information in formulas. That's not so much a beginner item, but it is useful for intermediate and advanced use. For me, I like the sort feature. That's what it lets me do the most. It's much easier to refer to your columns, and if you have repeating formulas, or for instance, in our situation, repeating checkboxes, if you insert a new row, it'll continue that formula for you without you having to do it again. Somebody asked, can you show the automatic fill again? Absolutely. Let me do that. And then we'll move on to our next section. So autofill is you input information into contiguous cells, 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, there's a pattern here. It goes up by 1. I selected all. You really only need to select 2 or 3, but if it's easy to select all, I just do that. Select them all. And then there's a little box down here. If you can see the little box. When I move over to the box, my cursor changes to a plus sign, and I click right there, and I just drag down to as far as I want to go. Let go, and there's the autofill. And this will do, you can autofill, Excel's very good at recognizing patterns, but even if it's just, let me see if we could just do just ones. Let's see if it'll add it up or if it'll just, yeah, it'll just, since it's all, it was just ones, so you can insert a bunch of ones. It'll probably also do if we want to insert symbols like a happy face or something. Insert symbol, and we've got all sorts of these are wingdings. It's a font, and it has all kinds of symbols here. Let's do a happy face. We can insert a happy face. If we want a bunch of happy faces, we can also do the same thing. I'm gonna copy and paste a few of these, and if we want to autofill this, there we go. I think we can also autofill this way. Yep, we can autofill down and over to the right, and yeah, so we've got a lot of smiley faces. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our next section here, and that will be how to track household spending. Household spending is one of the most popular traditional use cases for spreadsheets, bookkeeping for personal and business use is a great way to use tables. I would say that spreadsheets are the best type of software for this purpose. Now, in creating our to-do list, you've learned the basics of inputting information into Excel. Now we're going to extend that by introducing some features to use to track household spending. I'm going to exit this file. I don't need to save it, so I'm going to don't save. And I'm going to go to our pre-created file. I will send you this file the way it looks right now. So if you want to follow along in the future, you can, and you don't have to recreate this whole thing by typing it up. So Here is a ledger that I've used to create as our example file. You can see that we have a table here. Our table has 4 columns: date, item, debit, and credit. I filled in some information here. We've got a starting balance row, got dates here, and they've got some information listed here. Note that this information is in a specific type of number format, and that is accounting. This is usually it defaults to US dollars. It's basically a number with a dollar sign that displays 2 decimal points if you input them. Um, if you don't, it may display a whole dollar amount. But if you'd like the zeros displayed, you can also toggle that by going right over here to the number area of our home tab. And you can increase the decimals or you can decrease them. So we're going to, if we want to just have the whole dollar amounts, we're going to decrease our decimals. If we want to increase our decimal point, we can. If we're using money, it'd be weird to increase, but Excel will do it if you ask it to. Here it's just all zeros because we were talking about dollars. Okay, let's move it back to the way it normally is. Now we've increased our decimal points in general. In Excel, if you input a number into a cell and pull a dollar sign in front of it, Excel will treat it as a currency type, which is similar to accounting, but without some of the unique formatting, like the parentheses when it comes to negatives surrounding negative values. Obviously, this table is missing a vital piece of information, namely our total balance. Oh, look at these hashtags again, or hash marks again. We know why these are here. It's because our credit column is not big enough. So we're going to make it a little bit larger. There we go. We're missing uh, our final balance. Thankfully, have no fear. Put your calculator down because Excel makes getting this figure very easy. Let's start by creating a new row. So actually, it's already here. We don't even need to do that by creating our starting balance. So starting balance here, let's make our starting balance like, yeah, it's like $5,000. That's fine. So I put 5,000. It doesn't recognize it as a number. We can put the dollar sign here. Click the dollar sign. It'll make it accounting. So now we have our $5,000, and we're going to use the sum column to add a final balance. In order to calculate the totals of all of the amounts on this table, we'll use a formula. Formulas are little pieces of mostly simple but potentially very complicated code that tell Excel what to do. Within formulas, we often use functions. A function is a predefined formula for common operations that's built into Excel and referred to within the program by a single word, usually in capital letters, but not capitalizing functions not required. In order to find our total balance and have it adjust as we input new rows, we'll be using the sum function, S-U-M, sum function in our formula. Sum does exactly what it sounds like. It adds up the contents of individual or a range of cells, so you don't have to. So let's create a totals row. We can right click anywhere in our table. We're going to go to table. We're going to add a totals row. And let's delete what is in here. Now, totals rows are convenient because you can actually get the average, count, the sum, standard deviation, etc., of whatever's in your column. But we're going to create our own formula to get the balance of what we have here. So to start every formula, we input an equal sign. We can do that either right in the cell, or we can do that in the formula bar. As you can see, when I put the equal sign in it, it appeared in the formula bar. An equal sign tells Excel that you're about to get a formula. So be ready. So we have our equal sign, and then we'll be using the sum function. So we type in sum. I'm going to make it capital letters. It doesn't have to be in caps. Even if we type it in lowercase, still the same stuff comes up. So as I typed it in, you see this drop down appears because Excel's going, oh, you typed in some. Here's some other possible formulas that you might be interested in. There's a lot of functions that exist in Excel. So also it tells exactly what sum does, adds all the numbers in a range of cells. So we're going to click that where it's already here, double click that. So now it tells us the format of what the sum function expects. So you put in number one, number, comma, then another number, comma, etc. So we can put as many numbers as we want there, or we can put ranges of, we can tell ranges. So we need to tell it what we'd like to add up. So as you can see, there's a parenthesis that's already open. And then we use our mouse to highlight the starting balance, which is in D2. So here's 5,000. So we click, or sorry, it's in E2. We're going to go to E2. So when I click that, you see a dotted line here. And E2 appeared here because it's referring to this cell. And that's number one, the first number in here. Next, we're going to put a comma. That means that we're going to go over to we're going to say the next thing that we want to add up. And we're going to highlight a range, which is, of course, a bunch of cells together. We're going to highlight our debit and our credit range, just like this. And as you will undoubtedly notice, this brought up C3, which is right here, the top left-hand side of the range, to D15, the bottom part of the range. So we're going to add 5,000 and then versus the sum of this, negatives and positives. Now, in order to close that up, this is what we're going to need a sum of. We're going to put in a closing parenthesis, and we're going to press enter. And when we press enter, like magic, our total balance is there. What this formula does is it adds our starting balance and then adds all of this. What all this equals, if we highlight it all, we can see on the very bottom here, $1,979.33. So it added all this, found the difference in all this, and 5,000, and we've got our ending balance here. We can test out whether our balance changes by adding a row in the middle here. So let's add a row here. We're going to insert a row. Let's put 6, 6, 2025. I think when I first did this program was June of 2025, or maybe just before. So let's get another espresso. Gotta have an espresso every day. We're gonna have an espresso at a coffee shop called How's It Going to End, which is near where I live. And then the espresso cost $4.50. I don't even need to type in the accounting. I don't need to put a dollar sign because if I just type in the number, it will appear. All right, and that's a debit. And did this change? Let's see. I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to add it, and voila, it changed. We can actually put this formula anywhere in our table. It doesn't have to be in the total row. If we highlight this and select it, we're going to hit Control C, we're going to copy. We can also press copy up here, copy. We can put it right here in J15. That's fine. We're going to press Control V. Oh, sorry. We don't want to do that. We want to, let's delete this. What we're going to do here, I'm going to double click. I'm going to press Control V. I'm going to paste. So we can also do paste right here. I'm going to press enter, and our balance is now here. I'm going to remove the totals row, go to table, totals row. And now if I input any information here, 6, 16, 25, and we're going to do a croissant, chocolate, just to be specific. We're going to put in a croissant is $17 because we're fancy. And actually, I don't think this changed because this range is outside of this. But in order to fix this, what we can do is we can erase this and we're going to select the entire column. 1 and press shift, it's like 2. Now it's going to, everything we input into this entire column in perpetuity will be added here. Click out here and press enter. Now, if we 6, 17, 25, we ate cake. Sorry, it's clear that I need some dessert. Our cake is $35. 35. I believe that just changed. So let's see, did it change? Yes, it did. So let me fancy, but total. And there's our total. Fill these cells up so we can see what our total is. And we can move this anywhere. We want to highlight this, do cut. I'll put this right here. Do paste. There we go. And now anything we add into our table here, our tracking our spending, the total will appear here. All right. Now, let us move on to our next section, which is going to be planning a party. We're getting towards the end of our program, but I did want to show you a few other things that I think you'll find interesting. Before we move on to that, I'm going to look through the chat very quickly and the Q&A and see if there's anything I can quickly answer. So somebody asked, how do you make negative numbers? You simply put, oh, this should be negative. You put minus and it's negative. So it's just like when you're writing a negative number, you put minus. Now it's correct. I was going to say there are people out there wondering, wait, you're crediting $35 an account for eating cake? Yes, I would love to get paid for eating cake. But we actually had to pay to eat the cake. So negative numbers, yeah, simply just minus or like a dash and 50. And that's a negative number. That Excel will recognize that as a negative number. What is the name of the past webinar recording for this class? Oh, it's Excel for Beginners. If you go to our YouTube channel and you search for Excel for Beginners, this will appear. The class will be very similar to this one because I'm using primarily the same script, but sometimes I go off script. So each class is a little different. Oh, I see somebody said, when you are entering a charge, shouldn't you put parentheses? Indeed. I'm pleased that the folks in the audience are sharper than me. Let's see if this works. Yeah. So we put parentheses. Yeah, you can put negative or you can put it in parentheses. Excel will recognize. What happens to the new balance after debits, credits? Oh, it changes. It changes with, if we put a credit, if we earned $1,000, then it'll be added here. If we, next month, we could put whatever our starting balance is and, keep going. Okay, let's go on to planning a party and, keep putting your questions in the comments or in the Q&A, and I'll have some time after. If you need to leave at any point, of course, feel free. This will be recorded, so don't worry about it. If you have questions afterward, you can always email me. I'm going to put my email address into the chat, but also you'll get the follow-up email, so you can just respond to that follow-up email. I enjoy seeing your messages. All right, now, are we ready for party planning? Of course we are. Who is not ready for planning a party? Now, next we're going to go through some elements of planning a party using an Excel spreadsheet. Of course, people with type A personalities will start doing this for every party. Everyone else will use Excel for weddings and large work events. Just kidding, use it whenever you want. I'm going to start by opening up my example file, which is not this one, which is this one. And I have 3 sheets in this workbook. So an Excel file is called a workbook. Each workbook can contain multiple sheets. You can see the sheets on the bottom here, I have a guest list sheet, I have a locations sheet, and I have a budget sheet. If you want to create new sheets, you simply press the plus. You can also copy sheets by right-clicking and going to move or copy. You can also move your sheets around if you want to, but ours are where we want them. So our first sheet here has a guest list. Yeah, this is just a range of information, name, number of guests, RSVP status that kind of fizzled out somewhere over here. We haven't heard from these people yet, I suppose. Next sheet is the locations sheet. So we're planning a party. Some of the uh, places in this party, we have a variable budget. We're not sure yet what we want to spend. We've got a few locations that I've invented that we might be having this party on, including USS Enterprise, but we haven't heard from them yet. We haven't gotten an image yet, although we know it's 26,000 per guest. And then we have a tiny budget table here, and we're going to be inputting the cost per guest with the multiplied by the amount of guests later on in our session here to get a total and be able to make a decision about which location we're going to be using. But first, let's work on the guest list. As you can see, the RSVP statuses started off normal, yes, yes, maybe, and then they kind of went haywire, fell apart. We want it to be easy to fill out RSVP statuses for us when we hear from our guests, and simple to see who will be at the party and who won't. We're going to make that happen by creating a drop-down menu for the RSVP status column, which is column C. Creating a drop-down menu in Excel seems complicated, looks very cool, but is actually surprisingly easy. The initial step is to create the selections in our menu. And since this is our guest list, ours will be yes, no, and undecided. Let's put that in column E. We can really put it anywhere. Some people put it in a whole separate sheet. We're going to put that right here. So we're going to put yes, no, and undecided. This is going to be our drop-down list. It doesn't actually matter where you put them as long as they're not over the table. Next, we're going to select the area where we're going to have our drop-down menu, which is C2 through C18. Right here, we're going to navigate over to the Data tab in our ribbon, which is right over here, kind of in the middle of our tabs. We're going to click on that. We're going to go over Data Tools on the right-hand side, and we're going to click on this button here. I call it the yes, no button, but it's actually called Data Validation. Click on that. Data validation essentially allows you to determine what kind of inputs a cell can have. So ordinarily, you can input anything you want into a cell, but sometimes we want to limit what we put into a cell. So for example, you can limit to only numbers. So here's like allow any value. You can allow whole numbers, decimals, just a list, a date, time. So we can control how our cells look. So we're going to select list because we want our cell to only allow the exact entries that exist in our 3-item list. Click list. Once list is clicked, it wants me to show it where the list is. So it wants the source of the list. I click where it says source, and then we're going to highlight the area here. As you can see, Excel immediately starts to populate this E8 through E10. This could actually be, and you can use any cells here. So if I want to just to select random cells like A1 or A3, it'll put whatever you want in that list. Excel doesn't care. We, however, want our list to be orderly. So we're going to select here E8 through E10, and we're going to hit OK. And we have our drop-down menus immediately in our selected range here. We've got this little drop-down. So each of these cells will have a drop-down. So this is already yes. So this is already selected. Yes, yes, maybe will be undecided. I don't know will be undecided. No will be no, unfortunately. What? I guess that's going to be undecided. And then this number, I don't know what this person is, a check mark, is a random number. We're going to put undecided. And then here we can just select a different ones. Yes, if we want to type in something else here, I'm going to type in like the word food and press enter. Excel's not going to let us do that. This value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for the cell. Retry. Nope, it's not going to let us do that. Press enter. Nope. We need to, I mean, if we type in yes or no, that'll be fine. So we can type in yes or we can select, but it's not going to let us select anything other than what's right here, what we told it to limit to. So we're just going to put in different. No, yes, undecided, no. And then for the last three, we're just going to copy this and paste this here. And it's going to let us do that since these are all values that exist in our list. So if you're the only one looking at your sheets, this may not matter. But if a bunch of people are going to be fiddling around in your workbooks, it might be a good idea to put stuff like this list out of sight so somebody doesn't mess up your data validation. It's like I said, some people put it in a whole separate sheet and then they hide that sheet. But what we can do here, since we want to keep it simple, is just hide this one column, the E column. It's really easy to do. Just right click on the E column and go to hide. And now it's gone. It's out of sight. But you can see there's something there between D and F. We click off, even though we can see a little area here. Something there between D and F for those with sharp eyes. So don't put any secrets in there. Now to unhide it, you just right click on that area right there and go to unhide. Oh, wrong place. Almost gotta get it just in the right place. Maybe if I just select, right click, unhide. There it goes. Gotta be very exact. And unhide in our column is unhidden. And we're gonna keep it hidden because we want, so we're gonna go to hide once again because we want to have a neat sheet. Okay, so now our guest list is in order. Now let's look at our locations workbook. I have a few potential places here, but it would be really useful to put links in our spreadsheet so our fellow party planners could learn more about our locations. In order to input a plain link, a link when I'm talking about like a web address, you can just type the web address in the cell where you want the address. So if there's like Silver Platter Lounge, I'm going to make up a URL, which is a web address, silverplatterlounge.com. I'm going to press enter. And as you can see, Excel just recognizes this as text. Excel won't automatically create a clickable hyperlink. In order to get a proper link that people can click through and open up the browser, you click on the cell where the link should go. So in this situation, we have the Silver Platter Lounge. We have this text here. We press Control K on the keyboard, or we go to Insert and towards the right hand side, a little bit off in the middle, there's a link area. And we click Link, and we'll get a window that pops up. On top, it says Text to Display. So what we have typed in right there already is Silver Platter Lounge. Thankfully, the web address is Silver Platter Lounge. So we're going to put that into where it says address. Maybe we'll just put HTTPS, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That's the World Wide Web. We're going to put that. That's what a web address looks like. We're going to press OK. And this is now a link. So if I click this, my browser will open and it'll go to a website that doesn't exist. So I'm not going to click it. Uh, that's basically how you do it. Now you can put any kind of text for this link. So if we want to put like, the USS Enterprise, want to insert a link, we don't have anything typed in here at this moment. So if we do a link, see nothing in text to display. So we want like Enterprise info. For Star Trek fans, they'll know that this version of Enterprise doesn't actually exist, but it does in our world. And then we're going to type in USS Enterprise.com. And so this is what it's going to display. This is what it's going to click to when it opens the browser. And you can see it says enterprise info. And if we put our mouse over it, it's gonna go to the URL that it's supposed to go to, the web address that it's supposed to go to. All right, so that's how you create links in Excel. But how about images? So you can see an image is worth 1,000 words. These are very different locations. As luck would have it, the Federation just sent me an image of the banquet hall aboard the USS Enterprise. And I have it in a folder right here. That's it right there, spaceship.png. It's a type of image file. I'm going to open that up, and I have the image here. I want to insert that image right here where it says TBD, right in this area. I'm going to go to this image file. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to copy, copy to clipboard. Very good. I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet, and I have this cell selected where I want this to go. I'm going to remove TBD. I don't really need that anymore. I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to go to home and paste. Whoa, that is very big, much too big to be convenient. So what I'm going to do is there's a little box over on the right-hand side of this image. Move down. Where is it? I'm going to click it. There it is. All right. If I click the image, there's a little box that appears right here. And I'm going to click on that box. The box is place in cell. So now we went from an image that was too big to an image that's too small. Can we win? Yes, we can. The way that we can make this image as big as its friends above and below it is either we can do it manually, so we can make our cell bigger manually or make our row bigger like that. Or if we want to be neat about it, we want to see what the size of this row is. And we're going to click on that and see it's 192. And so we can make this row also 192, or we can make them all 192 so they all look the same. We're going to select our rows. I'm going to hold Shift on my keyboard, click this one, and I'm going to click this one, the fourth row here. I'm going to right click on my mouse. I'm going to go to row height, and I'm going to type in 192. Now all of our rows are the same size. We want to be able to see them all. We can zoom out by going all the way to the bottom right-hand side and zoom out. Now we can see our entire table, although probably on your screen, it got incredibly tiny. That's fine. These are all invented places anyway. But as you can see, the image fit to expanded right into the size of our row. All right, we're almost done for today. I know this is a lot to cover for a beginner class, but I want to show you just two more things, and then we're going to take some questions and send you on your way on your own Excel journey. So before we finish, I want to show you how to bring information from different sheets over to each other in order to make a budget calculation for our party. As I mentioned before, we want to be able to know how much per guest we need to pay. On our guest list spreadsheet, we have a number of yeses. On our location, we have price per guest. So here, if we sort this column, right click, and we're reviewing what we did before. We're going to right click, we're going to sort A to Z, we're going to expand our selection, and there we go. Now we've sorted this. Here's what we're gonna make our lives easy. We're gonna make this into a table. This is again, we're reviewing. Insert, table, and Excel knows what we want. Our table has headers. Now we've got a table, and we're gonna insert a totals row like we did in our ledger. Right click anywhere in the table. Go to table, totals row. And now by default, this just created a count of how many cells we have here. In our table, we have 17 answers here, and we can change whatever that is. Right now, it's just count. That's what we want. Now we want the number of yeses. So we're going to filter to just have yeses. So we're going to unclick no. We're going to unclick undecided, leave yeses. Our table got smaller. We have 6 people that are currently coming to our party. But wait, that's not actually the number of guests. The number of guests is here. We have our totals row. So convenient. We're going to put just a little caret here. We're going to do sum. Total of 9 guests. This is added up all of our guests here. We have 9 guests currently coming to our party. So what we want to do, though, is we want to figure out how much it's going to cost for each location. We're going to do what we did before, is create a little formula, and I'm going to create it for all of these. We're going to hit equals. We're going to need to multiply. We're going to multiplication just can be entered in here. It's not a special function or anything. We're going to multiply the number of guests by the price per guest. So I press the equal sign, so Excel knows that I'm about to create a formula here. It's ready. I'm going to click over to guest list. I'm going to select the number of guests, the total. We got 9. As you can see, Excel automatically populated the formula here. It populated this, so it says table 2. So remember when I said, what's the convenience of having a table rather than just a range? It's because Excel calls this entire thing table 2. So it always knows, regardless of how big our column is, it'll know to take this specific sum, number of guests. So number total to number of guests. All right, so we have this, and we need to multiply that. To multiply it, we're going to press our asterisk. We're going to multiply that. We're going to go to locations. And for the Silver Platter Lounge, which I think is our first one here, yeah, Silver Platter Lounge, we're going to multiply that by, I'm going to erase this right because I automatically put that in, multiply that by $120. That's the Silver Platter Lounge per guest. So when I type this or I click this, it selected it automatically with locations. That's the sheet is locations and cell C2. And now we're just going to press enter. I pressed enter and it did the multiplication for me. Number of guests times the cost per guest, which is in location C2. We're going to do that through all of these, and we're going to do it really fast. We're going to go equals our guest list, number 9. We're going to go to locations. For the USS Enterprise, $26,000 per guest. It makes sense. It's aboard our Starship. What happened here? Oh, yeah. We did this out of order. Let's erase this. We forgot the asterisk for the multiplication. So we've got guest list. We got this right here. Multiplication. Put in the asterisk. Go to locations. $26,000 per guest. If only we had that kind of budget. Total cost for that party just, $234,000 just for the guests. And then let's check the Winnebago bowling alley, our final. Same thing here. Okay, let's go to budget. We're going to press equals because that starts our formula. We're going to go to guest list, 9. We can't forget our asterisk, multiplication. I think we can put spaces here if we want to. If we have a large formulas, having spaces and formatting is really nice. If we press Alt Enter, it'll give us an extra space here. Put on the next one, we can make this bigger. So if we want to be real, we can be neat. It doesn't matter. We're going to make a line break here. And then we're going to go to locations. Oh, hang on. Maybe it doesn't. I don't think it likes the line break. Never mind. Don't listen to me. Okay, let's go to locations. And then we're going to go, so it's selected locations, and we're going to do Winnebago Bowling Alley, location C4. And now press enter. Here is the cost for that. Now, this is for all of our locations. We want to filter just to locations so we can decide what we want to use. So let's go to category. Let's remove our two locations. And now here's the cost for just our party for this just a silver platter lounge. If we want to check what would be aboard a spaceship, that will be the cost. And there, that will be a cost. So now we can, at a click, compare the costs of our party by filtering our table columns and figure out the budget for just the location that we want. All right, now we are well on our way to planning this fantastic party, and you are well on your way to Excel mastery. Let's go ahead and take some questions. I am ready. Let me look into let's see what we have here. Before I get to the questions, I just want to send out a shout out and an appreciation for Savannah Lish, who's a Make librarian, who is our Q&A and chat ghost today. She's been around addressing your questions and answering things in the chat and the Q&A. Thank you, Savannah, for your help today.
Thank you.
Also, for that hard Star Trek, of course. We're Star Trek fans here. All right, let's get the Q&A. Okay, somebody mentioned, this is earlier in the program, some older versions of Excel listed under developer tools in the ribbon section. So yes, so it is possible to add, you have to go to options. You can actually add another tab here called developer tools. And the developer tools give you some additional options. So the checkboxes appear in older versions if you enable the developer tools. That's a more advanced Excel kind of thing. How would you design a formula to calculate the time allotted for a particular task? So I think you could just put, it depends on, I would need some more information about what you're trying to do, but you can add and subtract time um, to give you, just create a table and add the amount of time you want to track the time that you use for something. So if you want to track by minutes, and then somewhere later you can multiply or you divide it by 60 to know how many hours it is. So yeah, you can just use basic arithmetic for that and structure it in a similar way, depending on what you're trying to track. What are formulas for multiplying and dividing? So there isn't really a specific formulas for multiplying and dividing in the same way that there really isn't a formula for subtraction. So if you want to subtract something in Excel, so if you want to subtract like two cells, for instance, if I want to subtract E and F, so I have like number 4 in E and the number 5 in, let's say number 5 in F, and I want to subtract them and put it in column G, I can press equals E15 minus E or F15. There we go. And that'll just give me it'll give me the subtraction. Same thing with multiplication or division. So you can just do it. There's a function for sum, but not for addition. Not for subtraction and multiplication and division. So you can do it. You can input the formula here in the formula bar directly. You can input it here. Typically, if it's something real simple like this, it doesn't really matter where you type it in. You can type it in here, but if the reason that you use the formula bar specifically, and when you make it even bigger, is because sometimes when you get to advanced Excel, and you have gigantic formulas with if-then statements that do all sorts of funky stuff, then you would need all this space to keep your formulas neat so you can actually read them easier. Otherwise, if you just try to look at it here, you're going to only see a few words and it's going to be a nightmare to edit. How do you put an image in a cell? You just paste it in. So I had my locations here. So I have like my images here. Like we can put a different image. So let's just put this one here again. I just copied it in. So I'm going to right click, copy, can exit it now. I can select where I want to put it into. I do paste. And there it is. I can make this whatever size I want. So actually, it pretty much goes anywhere. It doesn't actually have to stay within a specific cell, but it can. I think let me see if it changes depending on where it is in the moment. So here, if I change the size of the cell, it's not actually fitting into any cell when I just paste it in. But if I make it fit into a box, if I like fit to uh, this is place over cells and this is go inside, place in cell. So then it'll just go into whatever cell is nearest to it, and then you can control it by changing the size of the cell. But if you put outside, then you can put it wherever you want in your spreadsheet. Can spreadsheet be created in text only with dates as columns? I'm not sure what you mean by created in text only, but yeah, you can create. I mean, you can create text. Uh, if you want the item type to just be text, it can be. I mean, you can even convert your dates to text, but then Excel will have trouble sorting them. So it'll let you do kind of strange things with your number types or with your item types, but then it won't work properly. It won't do what you want it to do with those. It won't take advantage of what those special types do. Where was the filter choice? There's several places. So if you have a table, conveniently it's located right here. It says a little drop down caret. If you want to filter without that, you can do it. So if I'm like here, let's say like here, I don't have a what's called, I don't have, this is not a table. This is just a range of cells that looks like it's an informal table, if you will. I can also right click, select the row and right click. And let's see, is there a way to filter here? There isn't a filter. So if you select the whole thing, you can go to the editing area of your home tab, go to sort and filter, and you can do custom sort. You can filter smallest to largest. So here we want to do like largest to smallest. We're gonna expand selection, of course, and it filtered our table here. We can also filter by. Let me see if I can. Oh, I see. So I just added the filter. So I added it here. I sort and I toggled the filter button for each column by clicking here. And now you have the drop down, even though it's technically not a table. And so I can decide what I want to include or not include. Please show the hide function again. Absolutely. So let's unhide column here. Let me see if it's selected just right. Nope, that didn't work. The key is to get the two little drop downs. Okay. So I've unhid the column. This is my actual text is hidden because it was within the cells that are currently hidden here. So I'm gonna bring this back to all of them. Okay, here it is. So here is yes, no, and undecided. I want to hide column E again. I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna select the entire column here. I'm gonna hide it. Gone. You can also hide rows, as it were. So if I want to, hide row 29, it works the same way. Right click on select the entire row, hide it. Now it's gone. I have to find, there it goes with the two little arrows or lines there, and unhide. And now row 29 is back. I have used the wrap feature for long words. You did something different to wrap into the fixed column. Show us again. Sure. So word wrapping. So I'm going to do, actually, let me just do a new document so it's just a little easier to see. Let's zoom in. Oh, actually, yeah, we can make the font bigger. Make the font 20, and I'll use the font Railway. I've enjoyed Railway lately. So let's say this is a sentence. This is a word. This. This fits. This barely fits. This doesn't fit. It overlays. It's too big. So if I put something here, something. See, it covers that up. So if I want to make this wrap, I can do wrap text and it'll expand the size of this cell to and move words to the next column. So it can't move sentences too big. So it broke it up. But as you can see, it made a line break where it says this is a, and then sentence. We can make this part a little bit smaller. There we go. So even within a cell, you can have different font sizes. So now actually it's visible, all visible together. Can I make a list of items I need to buy by having two different columns on the same sheet? Yeah. Yeah, this is your spreadsheet is your spreadsheet. You can have as many columns as you want. If you want to, if you want to put lettuce on one column and celery on another, you can make this however you want. It's not going to sort if you put it, if you put it diagonally. Um, but if you like your shopping list to be diagonal, by all means, or you can put your shopping list in a little box. You can make your spreadsheets can be creative. If it's not too big, if your spreadsheet's not too big, you can make your spreadsheet just this little box, a little border around it. Yeah, and you can put whatever you want in here. Well, if you open this on your phone, then you just zoom into that box. But yeah, if you want like different categories for your shopping list or different stores or something, yeah, you can do that. Or you can put the store and then you can have a table and just sort for that store. So when you're going to Target, you can just filter to Target and all the stuff you need to get at Target. If you are going to Whole Foods or Dollar General or wherever, sort by the store that you're going to. For me, I would sort by the location in Trader Joe's because I have my Trader Joe's memorized. Adjust move column to different spreadsheets. Oh, I see. Oh, column info. Yeah, we can move it to a different sheet. So I'm going to create a new sheet, blank, of course. If I want to move this column there, I can select the entire column. If I want to get rid of it from here, then go to copy or cut. If I want to keep it here and I'll just copy it over, I go to copy. It's right up here in the clipboard area. And I go over here. I can put it anywhere. I can put it right here. E9, paste. Oh, why can't I paste here? Oh, oh, I see. Because it's multiple sizes. So we need to actually select the entire thing. If we just copy one cell, then we can just copy it anywhere. Because I select the entire column, I need to select an entire column to paste it. There we go. Now, if I just select these three, of course, I can cut. You see, it had the little dot, like as if we cut it out. And then we're going to put it here, and we can just put it anywhere in here. Go paste. And yeah, it pasted over here. It's gone from here. It exists here. Can you calculate the percentage? What percentage is coffee expense compared to the rest of the expenses? If you put a separate line for categories, then you can definitely do that. Then uh, well, we're getting past the beginner stage. You can create a pivot table and calculate how much of each category is and have it display by percentage. So yeah, Excel definitely lets you do that. But yeah, look up pivot tables. Um, Next step after you feel like you're hitting the ceiling of beginner level, go to LinkedIn Learning or just YouTube and type in pivot tables, and you shall be amazed. All right, let me see what's in the chat. So let me see. Is this recorded? This is recorded. Did you get the correct total for the enterprise? I think so. Yeah, oh, wait. Oh, yeah, see, I see what happened here. I think that, oh, I see the number of guesses changed. I think it's not getting the correct budget. But yeah, in before, I think I did. But in this situation right now, did I select the right location? Oh, you know what? I did get it before, but now because this was specifically C3, C3 now, because I moved them around, C3 is now this one. So we need to actually just make it needs to be C2 again. C2. We would need to, if we wanted to make it stick with that, we'd need to make it an absolute reference. So it always stuck with the enterprise. All right. I believe, let me see if I think I have one more question here. Is there a free version of Microsoft Excel? That's a great question. I don't know what the prices are of Excel these days. At home, honestly, I use Google Sheets or a LibreOffice, which is a free version of a productivity software. So I don't know what the cost is. You would have to go to Microsoft.com or Office 365 or Office.com and check if they have a free version. They may have a trial. It's possible that they have a free version, but yeah, that's something that you'd have to check on. If you did want to use Microsoft Excel for free to practice what you learned here, or just use it for your own decision making, our computers at the library have Microsoft Excel available for you, so you can go and practice your Excel at our library computers. I think we are now at time. Oh, somebody asked, what version of Excel is this? Good question. The versions of Excel these days are so, I think it actually says that in here. File and info and version history. That's version history for the document. Where did they put the version of Excel? I always forget where it is. I've recently found it for somebody, and now I always forget. Is it in options? No, it's not. If you email me, I'll let you know what version of Excel we're using. I'll have to find it because I forget where it keeps it now. It used to just be in help about, but now it's not. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your time and your questions. I've enjoyed teaching you here, and I will see you next time.